this is, again, you know, the epitome of databases. You can do things with pivot tables that, you know, you can do anything with an Excel query, but pivot tables, it's really quite nice. It's quite dynamic, and you get to see things happening. What does a pivot table do? It sorts, groups, summarizes, and filters. Now, doesn't that sound like a TV commercial from the 1980s, you know? And with a free set of steak knives. And so it gives you, it summarizes those big lists. So it allows you to add some value. So you've got your beautiful little table there. I mean, I love data. I could just, you know, I could go to bed at night, curl up with my little blanket of data. It would make me so happy. But it's not everyone loves this. Some people want to know how many maternity, how many emergencies. And, you know, my esteemed professor would probably be counting 1, 2, the other hand, 1, toes, you know, hard to count, you know, how many of these things. Pivot tables, bing, bang, boom, how many, 3 clicks, you know exactly how many there are of all those things. So pivot tables, that's under insert. Pivot table, recommended pivot tables, that's a new one. It tries to do some thinking for you, and a standard table. We're going to insert a pivot table. It grabs the database. It thinks that that's a database. Aren't you glad we don't have a blank column in there? It says, where do you want to put it? I say it's good to put it in a new worksheet because it's kind of big. And you can actually use a data model in the way. It's good. Okay, so tabula rasa, it gives you the names of your columns. Do you want to filter them? Do you want them to be columns in your output? Do you want them to be rows in your output? And do you want them to be valid? What values do you want? What does that remind you of? Does that remind you of anything in Access that does something that has for rows, columns, and values? Crosstab, yeah, when you ask for crosstab. So basically a pivot table is just a fancy crosstab, but it has some nice defaults built into it. So we wanted to know what the administration class was. So those are the different administration classes. Emergency, maternity, newborn, planted, R. They say the first analysis always finds the errors in your data. That would be R, okay, great. And we want to know how many of each of those were. So we just drag administration class down to values, and it says count. So wasn't that easy? That saved us a lot of fingers and toes. 94, 27, 23, 40. So that does a count. If that was a numeric value, we could have summed it up. We could have summed up the length of stay. So instead of a count of that, we drag that up and we grab length of stay. We have the sum of length of stay. So instead of counting the number of rows, we do a sum. You guys know all this from Access, the number of total bed days. Yeah, we could have more columns. For example, we could have administration class by column, and then have let's say gender down the side. So now we've got a 2-column. We've got gender down the side, administration class across the top. Do you think there's anything wrong with this data?
There's mouse in the tube.
A lot of them, really. 44 babies, almost being women. It's really hard on us, man. Let me tell you. Pregnancy, newborn. I guess that could be children. Yeah. Again, they say the first analysis always. Not only that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you grab columns, rows, do like that. You can also filter. You can filter at this level. So I could say, I don't want to see all those nasty men. So we could filter there, and we get rid of them there. So you filter, and that's like filtering at the input data. Then you can also create different sheets for each one. So let's drag diagnosis to the filter column. And so now we can choose different diagnoses. So let's just look at those 2 diagnoses. I think control click, shift click. Oh, select multiple, was that the one? So I just want those 4 diagnoses, and that's another way to do filtering. So there's a lot of functionality here, and you can kind of play with the different things. But I really want you to kind of do a bunch of playing with this, because you're going to get I want you to be good at pivot tables when you're finished. think you can insert a chart there. Insert a chart, a recommended chart. Sure. So that's a chart that's based on that data. We can turn our change the filter and the chart changes as well. So just click anywhere in there, say insert chart. You have a nice little chart, and you can play with that. I think that's good. Pivot tables, very fun. Dog box.
You know that they exist.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. Yeah. Because you can do it all. You can do it all without a pivot table, but it's just much more painful. You know, do a filter and count them, add them up, move the data around. It's very powerful way with Excel. Pivot chart. Select any cell. Press the F11. Create the chart. Then you can play with the chart. Subgroups. Oh, yes, you can have more than one group. For example, not just male and female, but we could have male, female, and DRG. So we have the female DRGs. Oh, let me just get rid of that. Yeah, great. So now it's got the DRGs for each woman and the actually better yet, let's move sex down there so we can compare the DRGs for men and women. They're pretty sparse. Yes. I don't know much about here. There's probably better things to play with. For example, you could do admission date by month. Let's say we wanted to do it by week, for example. So we grab admission date from there. We'll remove get rid of DRG. Great. So now there's the men and women by month, and so it actually added that month thing for us there for free. We could probably change that to by week, maybe not. But anyways, there's ways to do. You could use that to change it to a weekday format, or there's ways to kind of fiddle with that. Okay, enough of that.